Let me ask you something. When a woman pulls away from you, stops replying, grows colder, seems distant, what do? Most men chase harder. They text more. They try to be nicer, sweeter, more available, and without realizing it, they kill the very desire they're trying to spark. I'm going to tell you something that might sting. It's not that she doesn't want intimacy. It's that she doesn't want it with a man who gives away his power. See, in a world full of noise, where men are constantly performing, begging, over-explaining, the rarest man is the one who can stand steady. The man who doesn't need to prove his worth in every interaction. The man who knows how to create attraction without chasing, without tricks, without losing himself in the process. That's what we're going to talk about today. 8 principles, drawn from psychology, from hard-earned life experience, and from the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, that will change the way you understand female desire forever. This isn't about games. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally commands respect, trust, and yes, desire. And I'll tell you now, once you learn this, you can't unsee it. You'll notice the moments where you used to overreact, and you won't. You'll see the openings you used to miss, and you'll move with quiet certainty. You'll feel the difference in how women respond, not because you're trying harder, but because you've stopped trying to be someone else. So here's what I want you to do right now before we dive in. Subscribe to Stoic Outlook so you don't miss the next lesson in this journey. Like this video if you're ready to start living with more clarity and purpose, and share it with a man you respect, because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more men who stand firm in themselves. Now, let's begin. 1. Lead through presence, not performance. In today's world, too many men believe they have to perform their way into a woman's desire. They think if they entertain her, enough impress her, enough charm her enough, she'll choose them. So they become actors in their own lives, telling stories to look more interesting, exaggerating their achievements, cracking jokes. They don't really find funny or pretending to be busier, cooler, more mysterious than they really are. But here's the truth. Performance is exhausting, and the moment you stop performing, the illusion fades. She doesn't fall for you. She falls for the version of you that you worked to maintain. And that is a game you can never win for long. A stoic man doesn't perform. He simply is. His value isn't in his theatrics, it's in his being. The way he stands without fidgeting. The way he listens without rushing to speak. The way he looks at her, not like he's trying to win something from her, but like he's already complete and simply enjoying the moment they share. Presence speaks louder than any clever line. It's the invisible current that makes her notice you without quite knowing why. And presence can't be faked. It comes from being fully at home in your own skin. When you lead with presence, you're not chasing her attention. You're not bending yourself into shapes to fit her expectations. You're living in such a way that your energy naturally guides the interaction. She feels it in your calmness, in your steadiness, in your focus. That's why Stoicism is so relevant here. The Stoic man doesn't need the room to applaud him to know his worth. He doesn't need a spotlight to feel alive. He's grounded, rooted in his own values, and therefore his very presence leads without effort. And women can sense it. They sense when a man is trying to impress, and they sense when a man simply is confident, centered, unshaken. The first triggers judgment. The second stirs desire. So stop thinking you need to sell yourself. Stop performing for her approval. If you want to lead with your presence. Let your steadiness guide the moment, and let her see through your silence, your stillness. and your certainty that you are the kind of man who doesn't need to put on a show to be worth following. Because when you can walk into her life without pretending to be anything more than yourself, you've already won more than 1,000 clever words could ever buy. 2. The man who doesn't react excites her. You know what's rare in today's world? A man who doesn't flinch at every little shift in someone else's mood. Most men, and I say this without judgment, are like weather vanes. A small breeze from her, and they spin. She delays her reply, they panic. She seems distracted. They start overthinking every word they've sent. She pulls back a little, and they chase harder, not because they want her more, but because they can't stand the space between. But here's what you need to understand, that space is your test. If you crumble the moment she turns cold, you're showing her that your center isn't really yours, it's hers. And if she holds your center, she also holds your power. A Stoic man is different. He isn't made of stone, but he's not a feather in the wind either. If she turns distant, he stays steady. If she's in a bad mood, he doesn't mirror it. He understands that her emotions, like all human emotions, come and go, and his value, his identity isn't tied to her warmth or her approval. That kind of man is rare, and because he's rare, he's magnetic. She notices he's not reacting the way the others do. He's not sending double texts. He's not fishing for reassurance. He's not trying to win her back from a momentary silence. Instead, he's still living, still moving, still building his life. That's when curiosity creeps in for her. Why doesn't this man need my attention? Why isn't he chasing like everyone else? Who is he when I'm not looking? And brother, curiosity is fuel for attraction. This isn't about being cold or playing some fake hard-to-get game. That's just manipulation, and women can smell it a mile away. This is about having a genuine life, a path so strong that no single glance or delay can pull you off course. I've lived long enough to see this truth over and over again. The man who can hold himself steady when others would beg or break is the man who stands out. Not because he's trying to be mysterious, but because his peace is real. His world doesn't collapse over a single unanswered message. In Stoicism, we talk about apatheia, not apathy, but mastery over your inner state. You feel emotions, yes, but they don't own you. You decide how you respond. And that decision is where your strength lives. When you live this way, something flips. You stop asking, how can I keep her? And start asking, does this add to my life? And when a woman senses that she's with a man who is whole with or without her, she feels something she rarely feels: tension, desire, respect. Because here's the paradox. When you stop orbiting around her, she starts to orbit around you. And it's not because you've played a trick on her. It's because you've reminded her of something ancient, something buried under layers of modern noise, the pull toward a man who stands firmly in himself. So the next time she goes quiet, don't rush in to fill the gap. Stand in it. Let her feel the steadiness you live in. Let her see you won't tip over just because the wind changed. That's when you become rare. That's when you become unforgettable. 3. Make her suggest it first. One of the greatest mistakes men make is thinking they need to push desire forward. That if they don't move fast enough, the moment will disappear. But with women, real desire is never about being pushed. It's about being pulled. And here's the paradox. She feels a far deeper thrill when she believes it was her who crossed the line. Not you dragging her over it, but her choosing to step into it. That's why you can't rush. You can't press. You can't demand. Instead, you build something far more powerful in atmosphere. An atmosphere where she feels safe, but not complacent. Where she feels a subtle current of tension, but no pressure. Where mystery hangs in the air, just enough to make her curious, to make her lean in, without quite knowing why. Most men can't sit in that space. They get anxious. They fill every silence with nervous talk. They reach for her too soon, not because it's the right moment, but because they're afraid the moment won't come back. And in doing so, they kill the very tension that would have drawn her closer. A Stoic man does the opposite. He can sit in silence without needing to break it. He can stand close without rushing to touch. He lets the air between them do its work because he knows desire is built in that space. When you do this right, something almost magical happens. She begins to notice her own body leaning toward you. She finds herself asking little questions. Are you staying a bit longer? Or, why do I feel so different around you? Those are not small talk. Those are doors she's opening. And the reason she's opening them is simple. She feels safe enough to choose you and charged enough to want to. Let me give you a picture. You're at her place. The evening has been easy flowing. You're sitting close enough that she can feel your presence, but you're not crowding her. Your voice is steady, your breathing slow, your eyes calm, but direct. You're not searching for the next move, you're just there, fully there. Then, there's a pause. She glances at it. Yuta maybe bites her lip, maybe holds your gaze a second longer than before. And then she says, almost teasing, "Are you always this confident?" as she shifts closer. That's it. You didn't push her over the line. You simply stood at the edge, unhurried, and let her step toward you. And because it was her decision, her desire is now her own, stronger, deeper, and far more lasting. You see, in life and in love, people value what they choose more than what they are given. When she feels she chose the moment she invests in it, it becomes hers. And that's when intimacy stops being an act and becomes an experience. So remember this, brother, you're not here to force anything. You're here to create a space so alive with safety, tension, and mystery that she can't help but step into it. And when she does, you won't need to ask. She'll already be there. 4. Stop asking permission, lead or lose. There's a quiet truth most men never hear. Every time you ask, "Is it okay if..." you hand away your power. Now, I'm not talking about being disrespectful or ignoring her boundaries. A real man honors those without question. But there's a world of difference between respecting her and needing her permission for every step you take. When you constantly check, "Can I kiss you? Do you want me to hold your hand? Would it be all right if..." You may think you're showing consideration, but what she often hears underneath is uncertainty, doubt, a man waiting for her to lead him through his own desire. And here's the problem: female desire doesn't thrive on guiding a man step by step. It thrives on being led with confidence, presence, and calm. Leadership in this context is not about force. It's not about pushing her into anything she doesn't want. It's about moving forward like a man who trusts his instincts, who can read the room, feel the moment, and take action without fumbling for verbal approval. A Stoic man doesn't rush. He doesn't lunge. He doesn't perform. He simply moves with quiet certainty. If she disagrees, she will make it known, and because he's grounded, he won't fall apart when she does. He'll simply adjust with the same calm he had before. Let me paint it for you. You're sitting together close. The energy is alive. You can feel her leaning in without words. Most men in that moment would break the tension with a question, "Can I?" Not realizing that the moment was already there. And by questioning it, they make her question it too. Now imagine instead, you hold her gaze just a moment longer. You close the gap slowly, not rushing, but not hesitating either. You let your presence speak first, and your touch follow naturally. In that moment, you're not asking for permission with words. You're reading the permission that's already in her body language. This is leadership. It's subtle, but powerful. It's the art of guiding without pushing, of acting without pleading. And here's the truth: most of the time, she's been waiting for you to take that step. She was already there, just wondering if you had the courage to meet her. Men often think leadership is loud, dominant, even aggressive. But in reality, it's often the opposite. It's quiet. It's patient. It's deeply aware. It's knowing that if she pulls back, it's fine. And if she leans in, you'll meet her there without hesitation. In Stoicism, we talk about living with intention. Not drifting, not stumbling, not waiting for someone else to chart our path. That principle applies here too. A man who waits for everything to be spelled out will always be a step behind. A man who leads from a calm center will always inspire trust, respect, and desire. So stop handing away your power in small, uncertain questions. Lead with quiet certainty. And if she wants to follow, she will not because you asked, but because she felt you were worth following. 5. A Stoic man's value is self-created. Let me tell you something a lot of men never figure out. Your value as a man is not something she can give you. And because she can't give it to you, she can't take it away. Too many men try to build themselves on borrowed ground in her attention, her approval, her affection. They feel 10 feet tall when she's warm, and hollow when she's distant. They rise and fall based on a look, a message, a gesture. And brother, that's no way to live. A Stoic man's value is self-created. He has spent years shaping his mind, strengthening his emotions, building his life's foundation brick by brick. Mentally sharp, emotionally steady, financially capable, spiritually grounded. That work, the quiet, often invisible work, creates an aura you can't fake. And here's the key, because that value was forged within no woman, no relationship, no single moment of intimacy can define it. It's yours. It lives in you. When you live from that kind of foundation, you're not chasing attraction, like a man begging for a seat at the table. You're already seated at your own table. You're already living your life fully with or without her in it. That's when something shifts. She doesn't feel you pulling on her to validate you. She feels you moving forward with your own vision, your own standards, your own path. And instead of negotiating for her desire, you become a man she wants to join. I've seen this over and over. Men who build themselves first never have to beg for attention. They don't try to earn intimacy by doing tricks or playing games. They simply live. And because they are living from their own power, people, women especially, feel drawn to them. But here's the truth. This isn't an overnight transformation. It's not a quick tip from a dating video. It's a long, often uncomfortable journey of self-mastery. You have to learn to sit with your own company, to develop your skills, to face your weaknesses without flinching. And yet that work is the best investment you will ever make, because once you've built yourself, you'll never again fear losing someone's approval. Why? Because you'll know your worth doesn't live in her eyes. It lives in yours. In Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius said, The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. I'd add this: the strength of your presence depends on the quality of the man you've built when no one was watching. So stop borrowing your value from her. Stop negotiating for your own worth. Build it. Live it. And when you do, you won't have to ask her to see it. She will feel it the moment you walk into the room. 6. Female desire is silent, not logical. Here's something most men don't want to hear. You can be everything she says she wants and still feel her slip away. She might praise your kindness. She might tell you you're respectful, dependable, a great guy. And yet, there's no spark in her eyes, no lean forward when you speak, no quiet pause before she says goodbye. And it leaves you thinking, but I did everything right. Why doesn't she feel the same? Because, brother, female desire isn't a checklist you can complete. It's not a puzzle you solve with logic. You don't earn it by following all the rules she lists out loud. Desire begins somewhere else entirely in the body. It's instinctive, unspoken, silent. It's stirred by energy the way you walk into a room with a quiet certainty. It's stirred by tension, the space you're willing to hold without rushing to fill it. It's stirred by mystery, the fact that she can't quite read all your pages at once. And here's the truth. What she says she wants and what she actually responds to are not always the same thing. She might say she's looking for a stable, sensitive, reliable man. And yes, she might appreciate those qualities in a friend or a colleague. But desire that lives in the space beyond words. This is why so many men get frustrated. They try to convince her into attraction, stacking up reasons why she should choose them. But attraction doesn't happen in the mind. You can't debate it into existence. You have to provoke it in the way she feels when she's around you. Now, that doesn't mean you turn into a mystery novel or play games. Stoicism teaches us to be genuine, but also to understand human nature. And in human nature, desire needs room to breathe. It needs the unknown. Think of it like a flame. It needs air, not just fuel. If you smother it with too much, I'm perfect for you energy, you put it out. But if you give it just enough oxygen through your presence, your steadiness, your self-possession, it grows on its own. And here's the beauty of it: when she feels desire, she won't need convincing. She won't need a speech. Her body will lean closer. Her tone will shift. Her eyes will soften. That's when you'll know, not because she told you with words, but because she's already speaking in a language older than language itself. So stop trying to reason your way into her heart. That's not where desire lives. Live in your center. Let your presence, your tension, and your mystery do the speaking. And when she feels it, you won't have to wonder if it's there. You'll see it silent, but unmistakable. 7. She doesn't want sex with weak men. Let's be honest. No woman is drawn to a man who feels weak in himself. And I don't mean weak in muscle. I'm talking about the kind of weakness that lives in your spirit. The neediness, the insecurity, the self-doubt that leaks out in every glance, every word, every hesitant move. It's not aggression she's looking for. It's not dominance. It's quiet authority. The kind of presence a man carries when he knows his own worth. Neediness suffocates desire before it can even breathe. Insecurity makes her feel like she's carrying the weight of the connection for both of you. Self-doubt. It tells her without words that you don't believe you deserve her. And if you don't believe it, why should she? Strength, real strength, is calm, steady, unshaken. It's the way you walk into a room without needing to be the loudest voice. It's the way you look her in the eye without apology, not to challenge her, but simply because you have nothing to hide. A strong man doesn't have to convince her of his value. He doesn't have to list his accomplishments or prove he's good enough. His presence speaks it for him. Now here's what's interesting when you carry that kind of steady strength. You don't just attract her physically. You make her feel safe, not the safety of a locked door, but the safety of being with someone who cannot be rattled by every shift in the wind. But most men try to substitute niceness for strength. They think if they're polite enough, agreeable enough, self-sacrificing enough, she'll reward them with attraction. What they don't realize is that niceness without backbone doesn't feel like safety to a woman. It feels like instability wrapped in a smile. Stoicism teaches us that real power begins within. If you can govern your own thoughts, hold steady through your own storms, and walk forward with purpose regardless of who approves, you've built the kind of strength that no one can fake. And when a woman encounters that, she doesn't feel like she has to manage you. She doesn't feel like she has to pull you up emotionally. She can relax into her own feminine energy because she senses, maybe without even thinking about it, that you can hold your own. So remember, it's not about flexing. It's not about intimidation. And it's definitely not about trying to out-alpha every man in the room. It's about cultivating that calm, centered strength, the kind that makes her think, this man knows exactly who he is, and nothing can shake that. 8. Your sexual energy speaks louder than words. Before you ever open your mouth, she's already read you. Not the words, not the clothes. You. That steady gaze you hold, or can't hold, says more than any sentence you could string together. The way you walk into a room, your shoulders, your breath, the weight in your step. It speaks before you get the chance to introduce yourself. And here's the thing most men miss. Women feel your sexual energy before you think you're showing it. You can't hide it behind small talk. You can't cover it with polite smiles. And you can't fake it with borrowed lines from the internet. If your energy is repressed, if you've spent years burying your desire scared, it might offend someone. Scared it might make you look bad. You disappear, not physically, but in presence. She may see your face, but she doesn't feel you. You become safe, agreeable, forgettable. On the other hand, if you let that energy run wild without control, you become reckless. You move too fast. You smother. You push when you should let things breathe. And that's when she pulls away. Not because she hates desire, but because she can't trust a man who can't trust himself. Masculine presence isn't about suppressing your sexual energy or letting it explode. It's about mastering it, holding it like a contained fire, a flame you control that warms the space around you but never burns down the room. When you master that balance, something happens. You don't have to say a thing, and yet she feels it. The way you look at her, not hungrily, but steadily. The way you stand, not rigid, not sloppy, but rooted. The way you breathe slow, unhurried, like a man who isn't in a rush to prove anything. That's when a woman leans in. Not because you asked her to, but because she's drawn to something she can't fully name. She might call it confidence. She might call it masculinity. But deep down, it's the quiet signal you're sending. I know who I am. I'm in control of myself, and I don't need you to feel complete. See, in Stoicism, we talk about being the master of your own mind, your own impulses. This isn't just for the battlefield of life, it's for the intimate moments too. The man who governs his own energy is the man who never chases approval because he knows his worth isn't given by anyone else. So ask yourself, when you step into a room, when you stand in front of her, what does your body say? Does it tell her you're anxious, hoping to be liked? Does it tell her you're hiding, afraid to be seen? Or does it tell her without a single word, I am here, I am steady, I am enough? Because, my friend, she can hear that, even in your silence. So, brother, we've walked through 8 principles. 8 ways to stop chasing and start embodying the kind of man who naturally draws respect, desire, and trust. We've talked about the power of your sexual energy, how it speaks before you ever open your mouth. We've explored why not reacting to every little shift makes you rare in a world of emotional reactivity. We've seen how creating the space for her to choose instead of pushing her makes her desire more real and lasting. We've broken down why you must stop asking for permission and start leading with quiet certainty. We've looked at the foundation of a Stoic man's value, self-created, unshakable, independent of anyone's approval. We've remembered that female desire isn't logical or earned with a checklist. It's stirred by energy tension and mystery. We've faced the truth that she doesn't want to be with a man who feels weak in himself, but with one who carries calm, steady authority. And finally, we've seen that leadership isn't about performing. It's about presence, that silent current that guides without effort. These aren't tricks. They're not quick hacks or manipulations. They are the habits and disciplines of a man who knows himself. And that's the real goal here. Because at the heart of Stoicism is this: you can't control her interest, her moods, or her choices. But you can control yourself, your presence, your energy, your discipline, your path. And when you do, you become the kind of man who doesn't just attract a woman, you inspire her. So as we close, I want you to carry this with you. You're not here to chase approval. You're here to live with purpose, to lead with steadiness, and to let your life itself be the loudest statement you make. If you found value in what we've shared today, remember this conversation doesn't end here. This is just one step in a much deeper journey we'll take together inside Stoic Outlook. We'll keep exploring not just how to attract women, but how to master yourself, your relationships, your mind, and your purpose as a man. So do 3 things for me right now. First, subscribe to Stoic Outlook so you never miss the next lesson. Second, like this video. Not for the algorithm, but to remind yourself that you're committed to growth. Third, share this with another man who needs to hear it. And finally, drop a comment below. Tell me which of these 8 principles hit you the hardest. Tell me your own story, your struggles or your wins. I read them all because this isn't just a channel. It's a community of men committed to living with strength, clarity, and quiet power. Until next time, stay grounded, stay steady, and live with purpose.